Do you really need a brilliant idea to make $1 million? A new app, a viral brand, a product that explodes overnight. Those are the first things that come to your mind too, right? But the game is actually built somewhere else, in a much quieter place. Maybe inside a laundromat, inside a vending machine, in a small storage facility, at a car wash, in a pest control route, in apartment or property management. From the outside, it doesn't look exciting, does it? Let's be honest. These businesses look plain and boring. But sometimes this is exactly where money starts piling up. Slowly, quietly, without showing off. Today, I'm going to show you that. The 6 levels of million-dollar boring businesses. This won't be a typical list of business ideas. We're going to show one thing. At what point does a business stop being a small income source and start turning into a system that actually changes your life? Because our topic is not, what businesses exist? The real question is this: at which level does the game change? And our example character here will be Milo. Milo doesn't start rich. He doesn't have a big pile of capital. And he doesn't have a brilliant idea either. But Milo notices one thing. Hype doesn't bring money. Systems do. Let's begin. Level 1. Small, but real money. At the first level, the business doesn't look big to you. It actually looks a little discouraging. The first business Milo looks at is a laundromat. It doesn't sound charismatic. If you walked up to a friend and said, "I'm going to buy a laundromat," they'd probably just stare at you. But Milo sees something else here. There's no romance in it. But there is an ongoing habit. People have dirty clothes every week. Laundry never ends. Blankets get washed. Families come back. So even if the customer forgets, the need comes back. That is the first big difference. Not trend. Need. Don't forget that sentence. Milo looks at an old laundromat listing. The place looks worn out, tired. The machines are old. But the cash flow is not dead. The price is around $198,000. The net income is shown as roughly $4,200 a month. Milo does not have that kind of money in his pocket. And this is the first lesson. This is not a pay everything in cash upfront game. This is a game of finding an entry point, a small amount of savings, selling a car, a little credit, a little seller financing. So the first level teaches you this. A business that looks big is sometimes not as far away as you think. In the first month, the money Milo actually gets is not sexy at all. After all expenses, it's around $1,317. It doesn't change his life overnight, but it changes his direction. Because for the first time, this money is coming in separately from his paycheck. That is what the first level feels like. The amount is small, but the message is bigger than the amount. So money can come in without selling my hours. The biggest mistake you can make here is this: looking down on that money, saying, "This isn't worth the trouble." The opposite is true. The door to the next level opens right here. Level 2. Repeating cash flow. At the second level, the business stops being a small experiment. It turns into regular cash flow. Milo improves the laundromat a little. He adds card readers. He updates the prices with small adjustments. He adds a monthly family package. Not a big innovation, small fixes. But the result shows up. The net monthly cash flow rises to around $2,189. And this is where people make a big mistake. Because their eyes are locked on $100,000 a month, they treat $2,189 like it's nothing. But the real strength of that $2,189 is not the amount. It's the fact that it repeats. Milo does not fall into that trap. For the first time, he asks himself this question: can I add one more small but repeating income source like this? That question is critical. Because at the second level, you stop looking for one big hit. You start looking for a second small but repeating cash flow stream. And this is where Milo starts looking at vending machines. One machine, then 3 more. A warehouse, an office lobby, a repair shop. This business is not glamorous at all. You get in the van, you refill the machine, you check what's sold, you collect the loose change. And that's exactly why it works. 4 vending machines together leave around $1,196 in monthly profit. With better product selection and better locations, that number climbs to $2,413 a month. Now the color of the game changes. The laundromat is one source. The vending machines are a second source. And for the first time, Milo feels this. I'm not tied to one paycheck anymore. That is exactly what the second level feels like. Small numbers, but shrinking fear. Level 3. Seeing the psychology behind the business. At the third level, Milo stops looking at business names. He starts looking at patterns. And there is a very important difference here. What does a laundromat sell? Clean clothes. What does a vending machine sell? A small comfort purchase while people wait. What do those two things have in common? People do not spend a long time thinking about buying them. The decision is small. The drama is low. The need repeats. And this is where Milo sees the third level. Sometimes money grows not because of the type of business, but because of the customer's decision psychology. A family can delay laundry, but not forever. A worker can skip a snack once, but the next day they come back again. So sometimes the strength of the business is not in the product itself, it's in the habit around it. That's why Milo writes down new rules and filters. 1. Will the customer come back to you at least once a month? 2. Is the decision small and low drama? 3. Is there an asset underneath this cash flow that can become something you own over time? Those 3 filters become Milo's compass for every decision after this. The mistake people make here is this: looking for something different, looking for an interesting business. But most of the time, the thing that wins here is a repeating business. At the third level, you realize this. You're no longer just learning how to make money. You're starting to understand the system behind money. And that gets you ready for the next level. Level 4. Not just income, the asset underneath it. At the fourth level, Milo notices something. The vending machines create income. The laundromat creates income. But underneath those businesses, there are also things you can actually own. Machines, location, customer flow. And this is where the game gets bigger. Because now you're no longer just looking at monthly profit. You're looking at the structure that creates that profit. That's why Milo becomes interested in storage, because this is not just rental income. There are units, there is land, there is occupancy, there is long-duration customer behavior. People put their things in storage. They say, I'll clear it out next year, and they don't. And this turns into a very quiet money model. Milo doesn't buy a large facility completely on his own here. He forms a partnership. He puts in about 31% from his own pocket. The other side brings the land and the construction knowledge. Milo takes over the operations. Out of 24 units, 18 fill up. The average payment comes in around $137. After expenses and debt service, Milo's share lands at about $1,594. Now the picture changes. $2,189 from the laundromat, $2,413 from vending, $1,594 from storage, more than $6,000 of boring cash flow in total. And eventually, that number passes Milo's job salary. At the fourth level, Milo realizes this. I'm not just making money anymore. I'm starting to own the things that make money. That is a huge difference. Level 5. From business idea to system. At the fifth level, Milo stops obsessing over the name of the business model. Laundromat, vending, car wash, pest control, property management. At some point, all of them connect to the same sentence. Monthly payment, low drama, cash flow backed by an asset. Car wash plays the same game here. You install the equipment once, then volume does the work. Sometimes even the land itself becomes the most valuable part of the business. Pest control plays the same game too. You build a route. Homes line up. The customer comes once, then the cycle continues. At 82 homes times $59, even one route can generate $4,838 in gross monthly revenue. Property management plays the same game too. 50 units times $91 brings in $4,550 in gross monthly fees. When you reach 150 doors, the business is no longer a small side income. It becomes a serious operation. At the fifth level, Milo sees this. The point is not individual business ideas. The point is learning how to apply the same money pattern across different sectors. This is where you stop looking at things like an operator. You start looking at them like an owner. Asking, which idea is cooler, becomes childish at this level. The right question is this: will this business give me low drama, repeatable, ownable cash flow every month? Level 6, the quiet $1 million line. At the sixth level, from the outside, there still isn't some big explosion, and that's the strangest part. There's no viral moment in Milo's life, no breakout video, no coin that multiplies overnight. But years pass, debt goes down, the business value goes up, the machines keep running, the location keeps producing money, the route gets bigger, the storage fills up. And then one day, when you look back at the number has changed. At 32, his net worth is around $5,000. At 38, the picture is different. The laundromat debt is mostly paid down. The new valuation puts it at around $341,000. After debt, the storage equity is around $27,000. If the vending route were sold at common multiples, it could be worth around $89,000. On top of that, with accumulated cash flow and other quiet gains, his net worth passes $1 million. So what is the real lesson here? No single year felt explosive, but the system worked. People looking from the outside call it luck. But what's happening inside isn't luck. Repetition, patience, tolerance for boredom. At the sixth level, money no longer comes from excitement. It comes from order. And that's why it's powerful. The real lesson. It's this. A boring business is not an insult. Sometimes it's the filter itself. Because hype attracts people, but need attracts money. Trends create excitement, but repetition creates cash flow. Showmanship gets attention, but systems build value. And sometimes the $1 million line is crossed right here. In businesses people don't even bother looking at. A washing machine, a vending machine, a storage unit, a service route, a management agreement. So the question is not, is the business interesting? The real question is this: does this business produce money every month with low drama again and again? And over time, does it leave behind something valuable that can actually be owned? That is why this channel is called the Money Ladder, because the same thing happens here too. At the first level, the business looks small. At the second level, it starts repeating. At the third level, the pattern reveals itself. At the fourth level, it connects to an asset. At the fifth level, it turns into a system. At the sixth level, it quietly changes your net worth. So from the outside, it may look like the same business, but on the inside, the game being played is different at every level. Now let me ask you a direct question. Do you still associate making money with excitement? Or can you finally see this? Sometimes the $1 million line starts behind the most boring-looking door. If you can see that, the game has changed. Because instead of chasing the next shiny idea, you start looking for a system that repeats. And that change looks small. But your life starts turning right there.